Hello, it is Tuesday, so that means it is Tapping Tuesday. So welcome. Um, oh wait, just saying live video is starting. Okay, hi. Hello, welcome. This is Dawn, and welcome to Tapping Tuesday. It is Tuesday, and in addition to being Taco Tuesday in many places, it's Tapping Tuesday. So as you know, I'm coming on live and doing these videos, and then I'm posting it across many different platforms. So if you're watching the replay, sorry you didn't see it live, or make sure you turn on your notifications if you're on Facebook to get notifications of when I do go live so that you can catch it live when it's convenient. So today I thought we would talk about, Happy New Year, by the way, to those that celebrate the Chinese New Year. And I thought we would talk a little bit about that inner critic, that inner voice that, for many people, I think probably the two most common, inner critic things are, I'm not good enough or I'm not lovable. And, many of us have different things that we don't like about ourselves or things that we're wanting to improve upon and change, but we all kind of have this inner critic voice. And in fact, our subconscious mind, it has a negativity bias. So it's completely normal to have this inner critic voice, or perhaps it's someone else's voice. Perhaps it's a parent's voice or a teacher's voice or a voice that we took on that's not even ours, that's not even our inner voice, but that we hear it over and over and over again. And that can be problematic when we buy into it, when we believe it, when we allow it to affect our lives. And so learning a tool such as EFT tapping or meditation or breath work or, laughter yoga, whatever it is that can help you to decrease that inner critic voice. And again, it's just something that we're born with. But little kids don't run around thinking, oh, I'm not lovable or I'm not good enough. Usually that voice comes from, other people or repetitive messages from, teachers or peers or someone else. But, as adults, we can, sort of reparent ourselves and kind of hug that little inner child and say, hey, that wasn't the truth. That's just that person projecting. And so I think EFT is a great tool to help squash that inner critic. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start in the karate chop point. And before we get started, if you've never tapped before and if you're, tapping along, just know that you're agreeing to take responsibility for your own well-being. This is just an educational video. Of course, if you have something deeper that you're wanting to work on, or if your inner critic voice is, huge, then I would encourage you to work with a, professional EFT tapping practitioner. So just go ahead and just tap in for a moment, or just tune in to that inner critic voice. And on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the highest, just notice how active your inner critic voice is, just in general or at this point in time. And just tune in with that for a moment, because by tuning into it, we're releasing it through tapping and at least, reducing it for the time being. Because again, this is just a general demonstration. It's not meant to be individual therapy for anyone. Okay, so have that in your mind and just note where you notice that, where you feel that, or where you sense it. Starting with the karate chop point, we're going to say this 3 times out loud, and if there's any words that I'm saying that don't fit to your situation, just feel free to insert your own words. And if you can, it's good to say it out loud. If not, just say it in your mind. So repeat after me, if you like. Even though I have this inner critic voice, and sometimes it tells me things that are negative and that I know aren't true, but I know that everyone has somewhat of an inner critic voice. It's just part of our subconscious programming and what we're born with, this negativity bias. Either way, I deeply and completely honor and accept myself. Even though I have this inner critic voice that sometimes is super active and sometimes I don't even notice it at all. But when it acts up, I want to lessen it. I want to decrease that inner negative voice, that critic. And perhaps it's not even only my voice. Maybe it's someone else's critical voice, perhaps a parent or someone from my past. I can choose to let that go. I can choose to release that voice that isn't even mine. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. One more time, even though this inner critic voice sometimes acts up and tells me things that I don't believe are true. And I know that's just my subconscious mind playing tricks on me. And I want to squash that inner voice. I want to lessen its intensity and release any negative thoughts about myself. I deeply and completely honor and accept myself. Inside the eyebrow, I know we all have this inner voice. Side of the eye, and sometimes that voice says critical things under the eye or negative things to me. Under the nose, and perhaps sometimes that's someone else's voice. Chin point, perhaps it's telling me that I'm not good enough or smart enough. Or I'm too big or too small or too whatever. It's hard to hear that inner voice sometimes, that critical voice under the chest, but I know it's just something that happens. Wrist points, and sometimes I have these negative thoughts. Top of the head, and I want to begin to squash that negative inner critic voice. Inside the eyebrow, I want to release that negativity. Side of the eye, because I know it doesn't serve me to hold on to that inner critical voice. Under the eye, and I'm the one holding on to it. Under the nose, and I'm the one who has the power to release it. Chin point, to let go of that critical voice. Collarbone, and imagine how good I'll feel when I start giving myself positive messages. Under the arm, instead of these negative messages. Under the chest, or these critical messages. Wrist points, I know it's normal to have these thoughts from time to time. Top of the head, but I choose not to live in that critical voice. Inside the eyebrow, I choose to let go and reduce that critical voice. Side of the eye, it's time to let it go. Under the eye, it's time to release this toxic, critical voice. Under the nose, it's time to give myself more positive messages. Chin point, consciously and intentionally every single day. Collarbone, so this negative critical voice can go take a hike. Under the arm, I no longer need it and I no longer want it. Under the chest, and it's possible to let it go. Wrist points, it's possible to reduce this inner critical voice. Top of the head, and give myself more positive messages. Okay, so just take a deep breath. And just kind of tune in again with that critical voice, and on that scale of 0 to 10, just note where you are now. Hopefully it's gone down. And now we're going to bring in some I want and I choose statements. And this is when it becomes a little bit more empowering. So starting with the inside of the eyebrow, I choose to release this inner voice. Side of the eye, I know it will be helpful to reduce this inner critical voice. Under the eye, and if I know whose critical voice this is coming from, under the nose, I can choose to give it back to that person. Chin point, I can choose to release any negativity from others perceptions or expectations of my life. Collarbone, so I want to release this inner critical voice. Under the arm, I want to let go of it. Under the chest, or at least reduce it for now. Wrist points, because it's time to let it go. Top of the head, it all feels so much better when I've released that inner critical voice. Inside the eyebrow, and I choose to replace that inner critical voice with positive messages. Side of the eye, messages of hope and love and acceptance. Under the eye, acceptance for all of the parts of me. Under the nose, and reducing any stressful negative thoughts. Chin point, because I can choose to have more positive thoughts. Collarbone, I can choose to release any remaining critical voice. I am worth healing. I am worth giving myself positive messages each and every day. And I choose consciously and intentionally to give myself those positive messages. And I celebrate when I pivot and reframe the negative to the positive. It's possible to feed my mind with these positive messages. Positive messages of joy and love and hope and well-being and taking care of myself. Taking care of myself is the utmost priority. Collarbone, and I choose to take time for my self-care. I choose to take time to increase my mental well-being and do things that I enjoy and spend time with people that fill me up and bring happiness to my life. And also do things each and every day that bring me happiness and joy because I'm worth it. Okay, take a deep breath. So hopefully you feel a little bit better. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Again, these are just some general tapping demonstrations to give you ideas about how you can use EFT tapping. And again, if you're, dealing with something really heavy, I encourage you to reach out and get help and get assistance. And thank you for tapping along and watching. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and tune in next Tuesday for another live tapping EFT demonstration. Okay, have a good day. Bye.